In a quiet open field on an otherwise ordinary morning, calm turned into chaos when an unimaginable creature emerged from the tree line. A serpent, larger than any known species on Earth, rose from the ground like a moving mountain. Its scales glistened gold in the sunlight, its patterns shifting like ancient symbols carved by time itself. But the true terror began when it opened its massive jaws, wide enough to swallow a small house. With impossible strength, it lifted an entire car into the air, the vehicle dangling helplessly from its jaws while the passengers screamed for their lives. Nearby, stunned officers and civilians scrambled, torn between fear and duty, realizing they were witnessing something that defied nature, logic, and every rule of the world they thought they knew. For centuries, legend spoke of a guardian of the earth, an ancient serpent said to awaken only when humanity pushed the world to its limits. Today, that legend rose from myth into terrifying reality. A colossal snake, thick as a tree trunk and longer than a passenger jet, coiled across the open landscape. With slow, terrifying certainty, it clamped its fangs around a passing car, lifting it effortlessly into the sky. People scattered in every direction as the air filled with screams and the metallic groan of twisting steel. Police officers raced forward, weapons raised but hands trembling. Nothing in their training had prepared them for a creature of this scale. In a single moment, the world was reminded that nature still held forces beyond comprehension, and they had awakened. The plains had always been peaceful. Families picnicked, children played, tourists took pictures of the horizon. But all of that tranquility shattered when the earth itself seemed to move. Rising from the tall grass, a gigantic serpent towered above the landscape, its shadow stretching across the field like a storm cloud. As people froze in disbelief, the snake lunged with terrifying speed. In its jaws, a car, still running, still occupied, was hoisted upward like a mere snack. The passengers' horrified cries echoed across the plains. Nearby officers attempted to intervene, brandishing sticks and batons, but their fear was unmistakable. Against a creature of this magnitude, human strength was. There are moments in life when the boundary between reality and nightmare collapses. This was one of those moments. A monstrous snake, big enough to rival ancient mythical beasts, rose from the earth and seized a moving car between its jaws. People ran, stumbled, and shouted, their voices trembling with disbelief. One officer stood frozen, unsure whether to flee or fight. Another civilian charged forward with nothing but a stick, driven by desperation rather than logic. The snake, calm and overwhelming, seemed almost indifferent to the chaos it sparked. For the first time, humanity confronted a creature that made them feel small, fragile, and utterly powerless. Scientists had warned for years that unexplored corners of the world still held secrets. But no one imagined a secret like this. A serpent, massive, ancient, and eerily intelligent, emerged into open daylight. With a single fluid motion, it snatched an entire car filled with passengers, lifting it effortlessly into its gaping maw. The onlookers stood paralyzed, some screaming, some praying, all realizing they were witnessing a creature that should not exist. Authorities rushed in with fear-stricken faces, completely outmatched and overwhelmed. In that moment, the world changed. Nature had revealed something monstrous, and humanity was unprepared. The giant snake reared up like a skyscraper coming to life, its enormous coils spreading across the field as if claiming the land itself. When it grabbed a car and lifted the terrified occupants skyward, panic erupted like wildfire. A pair of police officers tried to intervene, shouting commands drowned by the roars of the crowd. One civilian sprinted forward, swinging a stick at the beast, driven by pure adrenaline. But the snake answered with a chilling, silent stare, unbothered and untouchable. This was not a battle between humans and an animal. This was humanity standing before an impossible force, a living catastrophe. Imagine standing in an open field, surrounded by friends and strangers, when suddenly the earth seems to breathe. A serpent larger than imagination slithers into view, its scales shimmering like molten bronze. Before anyone can process what they're seeing, it lunges forward and clamps its jaws around a moving car. The occupants scream, their bodies dangling helplessly as the vehicle is hoisted into the air. Police officers dash forward, trying to help but clearly overwhelmed. People shout, cry, and run as the nightmare unfolds before them. In that moment, Every witness understood that they were part of history, terrifying, unbelievable history. Nobody expected danger in the open fields that day. And yet, danger arrived in the form of a colossal serpent with eyes like polished stone and fangs as long as swords. In a terrifying display of power, it seized an entire car, lifting it high as if it weighed nothing at all. Panic broke instantly. Men leapt from the car, falling desperately to the ground. Officers shouted orders they themselves didn't believe would work. A brave civilian waved a stick in the air, trying to scare the creature off. But the snake remained unmoved, its massive coils tightening, its jaws widening, asserting dominance over everything in sight. Stretching across the green field like a living mountain, the colossal serpent was a sight no one had ever imagined. Its body shimmered with intricate patterns, each scale catching the sunlight like polished armor. People ran in terror as the snake lunged at a moving car, swallowing the front half in a single bite. 2 passengers tumbled out midair, scrambling for safety. Police officers rushed in, their tiny silhouettes dwarfed by the creature. The scene felt like a clash between 2 worlds: human civilization and a primordial force from deep beneath the earth. There are dangers we prepare for: storms, earthquakes, wild animals. But no warnings existed for the massive serpent that rose from the ground that day. In a moment that froze every heart, the creature seized a full-sized car between its monstrous jaws. The passengers screamed, hanging in the air as the serpent lifted them like rag dolls. Officers stood near its gigantic coils, dwarfed and intimidated, unsure of how to confront something so powerful. One desperate civilian swung a stick, a symbol of resistance against overwhelming odds. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Humanity had met a foe far beyond its strength, an ancient force that reminded the world how small people truly are.